Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Horror Talk with me, ShinyMikablu, and my lovely co-host, VineyardTrio. Tonight, we will be discussing comedic horror movies, and specifically Willy's Wonderland, which we had a watch party in Discord for on, was it Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, Thursday. So, first of all, great movie, and we will get into our thoughts. We will get into what chat thought about that as soon as we go over a couple things. First of all, like I said, I am ShinyMikablu. You can find me here on Twitch. I was about to say Twitter. You can find me here on Twitch. Let's see, is it schedule? No, it's not. I forget what my command is for my bot. Anyway, I am usually live on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesdays, I'm usually playing a longer game like Bioshock. That's the game I'm currently playing on Tuesdays. Thursdays, I play whatever horror game I feel like. It's been visual novels lately. And then on Sundays, I do indie horror night, which I play 2 or 3 just like indie horror games that I've never played before. Show them off to chat or tell my viewers, and just kind of give my general thoughts on them as I play them. What about you, Jan?
I would say you could find me on Twitch. Usually right now you can find me on Twitch just being in chats. Um, until our internet gets fixed from poopy DSL to fiber internet, which hopefully they're going to get started in September. And we're also hoping that we're one of the first houses in our area that gets the fiber. Same name over on Twitter, same name just about anywhere, really. I mean, you can find me probably just about anywhere with Vineyard Trio, except for Twitter. It is Trio Vineyard because, it's just Twitter's weird. But yeah, that's really all I have for right now for myself. Is just I'm lurky person.
All right. And with that, I think that's actually all of the housekeeping. There's not much to do today. So I would like to congratulate Shattered Rift on being first in chat. Congratulations, and getting to the stream first and running into that school of shrimp that thankfully did not delay you. Curiously, Jen ran into a larger school of shrimp and was delayed and did not get to the stream first. Sorry about that.
Don't be. She's always late.
I know, but I still feel bad. So, Willy's Wonderland. What do you think about that overall?
Shock. First and foremost, it was shock. And I'll clarify why I say shock. Because the image for Willy's Wonderland, if you don't read the little snippet, which a lot of times I don't when it comes to horror movies, because I don't want it to give the story away. And if you don't read it and you just see, oh, it says that it's Nick Cage, horror movie, I'm like, Nick Cage in a horror movie?
I know, right?
Is this gonna be good or is this gonna be bad? And not like you watch it and you're cringing the whole time. Like, that is if you like Nick Cage. Because I know some people out there just don't like him as an actor, and that's fine. You can be wrong, but laugh at my own. I'm the funniest person I know. But it's one of those, like, I had that feeling, that moment where I'm like, okay, I have to watch it because I gotta see him in a horror movie. Like, does he get totally just gutted, or is he the main person that saves everybody? And then after watching it, it was A+. It was good. It was good in a fun way.
It honestly was. I am being completely honest when I say that Willy's Wonderland is in my top 10 of all time movies.
Oh,
So,
for sure at this point.
so the best way to describe Willy's Wonderland is basically this: Five Nights at Freddy's, but a horror movie starring Nick Cage as a mute badass, which surprisingly works very well. Because, you think of Nick Cage, you think of like his very outgoing acting style. You think of the way he portrays his characters, the words he says, the very particular way he has of talking. Completely absent in this movie. And yet, just through his actions and his facial expressions, he is still Nick Cage playing his character.
For sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
It is.
And that's almost the comedy in and of itself, watching Nick Cage try to be like super Mr. Badass, but it also just, it works. It works.
It really does. And there you go. There's my schedule command for anyone who wants to know my general schedule. I got it working. Yeah, Willy's Wonderland was such a curveball. Is the best way I can describe it. Because that watch party was not the first time that you and I had seen it. We watched it. I think it was a couple months ago. And
it's been a little minute.
We were just scrolling through Amazon as we do, because VineyardTrio and I, excuse me, we stay up very late into the night all the time. Like, we're both up to like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Hashtag Insomnia Gang. So we both discovered months ago that we both have a love of horror movies. Not just horror movies, but like bad, cringy horror movies, as well as the legitimately good ones like the Conjuring franchise. So we were looking for something, we were looking for a C or D tier movie to watch, because we were in that kind of mood. We wanted to watch a bad movie and we wanted to make fun of it.
I think we had just finished watching one of the Insidious, I think it was probably Insidious 2. And we were like, that was good, but not what I wanted to watch tonight. I want to watch just something awful.
Yep.
And laugh the whole time.
Yep. So that welcome in. How are you doing tonight? Good to see you here. But yeah, and it wasn't the first time we had done that either. So we were scrolling through Amazon, looking for just a trash tier movie, and we saw one. Like I think what made it stand out was Nick Cage's name. Like, I think that was kind of all that made it stand out.
I think we were also going through our list of movies to watch, and we were just kind of like taking a look through those as well to see like when we would like to watch them because we like I said we had just finished Insidious 2 because that was on our list to watch. And I think we got to like what was the not fried bananas. Is it fried bananas? I don't remember, but it's something about bananas, I think. I don't know. Um but it was literally like two or three movie options down that it's like similar to, and I I think we saw that one first, and then it was the um Prisoners of the Ghostland was like right next to it.
Yeah.
And both of them had Nick Cage. But Willy's Wonderland had all the blood splatter and we were like, "What?"
Right, because the cover was like was Willy the Weasel, or Weasel Willy,
Mhm.
whatever his name actually is. I think they just call him Willy in the show. Or sorry,
They
not the show, the movie.
Yeah, they call him Willy.
Um,
I'm looking through my notes here to see movies to watch. Banana Splits.
Splits. What movie was that?
That was the other one that's like FNAF, where it's the animatronics.
I'm trying to
With
remember what it was about. Like I know what you're talking
It was a
about.
kid show though, but it was a kid show.
I just can't remember.
And the elephant was the good animatronic that still like didn't want to hurt the little boy. And the one dad was trying to get his daughter to become an actress and was like going around finding everybody, and he gets like horribly burned and just stands there and takes it.
I remember all of that. Like as you're mentioning, I can see it happening in my mind, but I don't remember anything else about the movie. It
That's
was
because it
that
wasn't
forgettable.
we well, we watched it right after we watched Willy's Wonder, like the night after night after or 2 nights after. But either way it goes, we watched it after we had first watched Willy's Wonderland, and that bar was set so high from Willy's Wonderland and how good it was. And when we had watched Banana Splits, we were like, this was not good. If we hadn't watched Willy's Wonderland, we would be more like a
Yeah,
but after Willy's Wonderland, it was a eh.
yeah, I definitely agree. And so I'm sorry to hear that about your mother. I really am. Like, if you need to talk, like either of us, our DMs are open for
For
you.
sure. Yes.
Um,
Hello. Hello, trouble.
Speaking of weasels, um, yeah, with Willy's Wonderland, like just the concept of it is like you don't think it's any good, or you wouldn't think it would be any good, but it surprisingly works. It's one of those movies that it's going to be kind of silly, and
Oh yeah.
that it knows it's going to be kind of silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not even that. Like it wasn't so bad. It's good. It's just it was good. I mean, it
It
wasn't.
was so campy, it's good.
It was so campy. It's
It
good.
was
That's a better way to put it. Yeah.
for sure.
Like it was not. It was not a AAA title movie. It was not The Conjuring. It was not Blair Witch. It was not Cabin in the Woods. It was not Scream. But for what it was, like I would honestly put it at like ranking at a high B tier movie
Oh yeah.
easily.
I will also say it's 100% a movie where if you don't know, or sorry, I'm moving around so much. I'm trying to find a way for this cat to be happy and not be all up in my business. Um if you don't like Nick Cage or don't understand his humor and how he portrays himself in movies, then you're not going to enjoy it. Like, you got to understand how his humor works and have the same type of humor. Because I know some people that with sorry, excuse me, the way he does certain things in movies or produces movies, that you're just going to be like, that wasn't that funny. But the extreme amount of gore that you see, the blood splatter, the fact that he's cleaning a bathroom and then fights a gorilla animatronic and it gets all messy and then he just looks at it when he walks away like, ah, damn it. You know, it's you definitely have to have similar humor, but it's 100% Nick Cage humor. Same with Prisoners of the Ghostlands, which we watched after that. That's another up there. I mean, you got Willy's Wonderland, and that one's right under it. I mean, same humor.
Yeah, they're both good movies for different reasons.
Oh yeah,
Prisoners of the Ghostland was such a vastly different movie, but Nick Cage's humor was still there. And like I agree with
oh
you.
yeah,
Like if you don't like Nick Cage, and there are people that don't like Nick Cage, he has a very particular sense of humor. He has a very particular acting style, and it's not to everyone's taste. Like you understand that.
right.
Like if you don't have a similar sense of humor to what he has, you're not gonna like the movie. But I think that's one of the good things about Willy's Wonderland is, like I said, he doesn't have that like really exuberant, over the top acting style that he usually does in movies. But but with the way he portrays himself, like the way he like holds himself, like as he's just like standing
Hmm.
there or walking around or like doing the cleaning or drinking the soda or fighting the animatronics, like,
Right.
you can still tell it's a Nick Cage character.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? So now that we've talked about like what we think of Willy's Wonderland, why don't we actually go into what it's about? Because I don't think everyone who is here in chat has seen it. So first of all, the movie starts with so I describe the movie as Five Nights at Freddy's with Nick Cage as a mute badass.
A silent Nick Cage movie.
Silent Nick
Yes.
Cage movie. Pretty damn close. But it opens up with Nick Cage, his character is not named, by the way. Like I don't even think
Oh
it
yeah.
was
No.
named in the credits. Because remember we
No. He
specifically
was.
looked for it because he didn't have a name.
I think he was just Silent Man or
Something
something
like
like
that, yeah.
that. Silent Badass or some weird shit. I'm trying to look it up really quickly.
But while you're doing that, I'm gonna continue with the synopsis. So it
Go right
opens
ahead.
with Nick Cage driving his car. I don't know what kind of car it was, but it was something. It was a muscle car. Like it was one of
The
those.
janitor.
The janitor. That's what it was. He is just referred to as the janitor in um in the credits. You don't know what kind of car it was that he had, was
It's
it?
a new Chevy Corvette.
New Chevy
Or was
Corvette.
it a
Okay.
Camaro? I wanted to say it was a Camaro. It might be
Was it a Camaro?
I mean, it was a Corvette, but it might be a Camaro.
Okay. But yeah, a car like that. It was like one of those like really popular muscle cars, like really, really nice muscle cars. And of
I wasn't paying
course,
attention. I was too busy trying to look at. Never mind.
okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. Um, he's driving his car, and of course, he's decked out like typical like movie badass. He's got the black leather jacket. He's got I think they were skinny jeans.
I believe so.
He's got the sunglasses. He's got the slick back hair, like typical muscle car driver, badass looking dude. And he's driving down the road. He's listening to a song. I don't remember what song it was. He's listening to a song, and all of a sudden, all of his tires pop. So he gets, I don't remember if he gets towed or if he like manages. He does get towed. Okay.
Those.
He gets towed to the garage in the local town, and the mechanic looks at his car and he's like, "Yeah, give me about $1,000 to fix everything." So he pulls. Nick Cage just like stares at the guy, just like it so intently stares at him for a couple seconds, and then goes to pull out his wallet, like opens his wallet up and pulls out a credit card. And then the mechanic is like, nah, we don't take that plastic here. Just cold hard cash only. So Nick Cage looks over at the ATM that's sitting there. It's got spider webs all over it. It's got dust all over it. And the mechanic is like, yeah, that doesn't work. We don't have internet here. We tried to get it a couple years ago, but it just didn't happen. So then, like, they don't know what to do because he's got the janitor, Nick Cage, has got to have his car fixed. It's a gorgeous car, by the way. So the mechanic says, "You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal. I'll fix up your car for free if you're willing to put in a good night's work." It doesn't say like what he's doing. He just says like you're gonna be working for the night. He's like, and he just holds out his hand and says, "Deal." And Nick Cage just, again, like he pulls off his glasses. He either pulls them off or tilts them low so he can look over his glasses. Stares at the guy like right in the eyes for about 5 seconds. Doesn't say a word, and then just shakes his hand. So moving on to the next scene, they pull the mechanic and the janitor. I'm gonna switch back and forth and say Nick Cage's character and the janitor, just because they're the same character. So I apologize if that causes any confusion. So the mechanic and the janitor pull up to Willy's Wonderland, and
just use them synonymously.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. Shut up. So they pull up to a place called Willy's Wonderland, it's basically like Chuck E. Cheese. It's like,
I did give you the movie poster, by the way.
Poster. Perfect. So let's go ahead and open that up and show that off. Did I get our cameras working on this? No, I did not, but our audio should still be good. Remind me after stream and we can set that up.
Okay.
But this is the poster for Willy's Wonderland. There's Nick Cage's character as the badass janitor. There's the animatronics. The only one whose name I actually know is Willy, the weasel right here. And yeah, this is a very recent movie, 2020.
Oh, yeah. For a minute, I thought you were circling Nick Cage, and then I'm like, delay, stupid.
Yeah, there's a little bit of stream delay. So that's the trailer for Willy's Wonderland, or the poster for Willy's Wonderland. I'm sorry.
Poster. Yep. There she goes. And back down. Will you sit somewhere? Do some?
So the mechanic and the janitor get to Willy's Wonderland. From the outside, it looks like a very nondescript building. It's got that what's that siding called? I don't know, but it's like that gray, like ranch house looking siding.
Yeah.
And
it's very almost, I want to say like a stucco, but
yeah, that's the word I was trying to think of, stucco. So they pull up to the building.
Cement.
It's very nondescript.
Man.
And then someone else pulls up, and it turns out it's the owner of the building, Tex McAdoo or something. We made fun of his name a lot. And
Tex McAdoo.
And he looks like a typical Texas business owner. He's got like the business suit. He's got the white cowboy hat. He's got the gray hair. He's got the gray goatee and all that. And so he starts explaining what the janitor's going to have to do. And basically, it's going to be a janitor for the night. Go in, like clean up as much as he can. And then in the morning, the mechanic will have his car all ready to go, and then he can be on his way. What he doesn't tell the janitor is that the building is cursed. The animatronics at night come to life and try to kill anyone who's inside the building. And this is not the first time that they've lured people in to do this. Because they've lured. It doesn't say how many people they've lured in. With because it turns out that the tires on the car were popped by spike strips that were laid out by the sheriff of the town to get people stuck in the town and basically feed them to the animatronics so that the
And
animatronics
if
won't.
I'm not mistaken, the not to cut you off, the mechanic even talks about the strips, and he blames it on like the local ruffians or whatever, the kids of the
Yes,
town
you're
playing
right. He
pranks.
does. I did forget that. You're absolutely right. And then he makes a call to like the sheriff or something and says, "Got another one with your strips," or something to that effect.
Hmm.
But yeah, so apparently the animatronics are cursed. They come alive and try to kill anyone who's in the building. And it's like, I don't think it's ever explained why they don't just leave the building and kill everyone in the town. Like they
Well,
said,
they keep it locked up, but I know at one point they say that if they sacrifice families, then Willy's feeds and doesn't have the need to go into the town anymore. But
okay,
when they stopped, like when they closed the doors, that this is how they found out what they had closed the door, or when it closed down, uh, and Willie's couldn't get its free killing of after it officially closed down for business. Then it started to go after townspeople, and they made a deal with Willie's and all the Willy and all of his people that they would basically bring families to him. The folks that won't go missing, have no family, etc., etc.
right,
Typical horror movie go
yeah.
of
Al-
people.
Although in this particular movie, they do explain why the animatronics come to life. Apparently, like the original owners were cultists and performed a ritual in there that I don't remember if they said it went wrong or it went right, but it ended up with the cultists
Wrong.
dying, the
They thought it went
animatronics
wrong.
coming to life, and then the animatronics like starting to kill people, like kind of sneakily at first, and then more blatantly until the whole place closed down. And so Nick Cage's character is brought in. He's told he just has to clean up for the night, and he's told he has to wear a Willy's Wonderland T-shirt, which I think is absolutely hilarious because in tight skinny jeans, this bright blue Willy's Wonderland T-shirt, no glasses, like his sunglasses are gone most of the night. He's still a fucking badass, and you can tell by looking at him that he is a badass.
And it's because part of it is also the way he cleans, because he doesn't just like, oh, I'm cleaning, oh, I'm dusting, oh, this. He's like, and you're like, dude, you're badassingly cleaning. Like how could someone be a badass and clean? Nick Cage.
Yeah, and it was so surprising the way he acted his character out because everything he did was done badassingly, to steal your word.
Yes.
Like you could tell, like he was serious about cleaning. He spent the entire time, almost the entire time, cleaning and like very aggressively cleaning every surface he could find. And then
Yes.
he was definitely a stickler for the rules because Tex told him like take a break every now and then, help yourself to whatever's in the fridge, which turned out to be a lot of soda. And they made it very clear it was soda because every single time you saw one of the cans, it was a
He
purple
brought
can.
those
Did he bring those?
from his car. He had them in his trunk.
Okay, I don't remember
He
that
had them
part.
in his trunk, and he brings it in a like flour sack almost, like a burlap sack.
You're right. You're right. I remember that now.
And he brings it in, and he basically stocks the fridge because that's like the only thing in the kitchen that works is the fridge. And so he
Right.
sticks the cans in the fridge.
And like I said, they make it very clear that it's soda because the cans are purple. They have like a royal purple wrapping on it, and in bright
Hmm.
yellow, like big-ish size letters. bright yellow letters, it says pop. It's very clearly soda.
And I think you, at one point, actually do get a glimpse of the label, and it it looks like a can of soda with a label that should be more for a can of energy drink.
Yep.
And it's just like, even down to the phrase where it's like, it'll punch you in the kisser or something like that, like, because it's punch or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just like, this is something that would be more like on a regular energy drink can, not a soda can.
Yeah. I think it was like some kind of energy soda.
Right.
So he starts his cleaning, and like I say, he's very stickler for the rules because he has an alarm on his watch. Every time that alarm goes off, whatever he's doing, he stops. He grabs a can of soda from the fridge. He drinks it. He goes to play pinball, and then waits for the alarm to go off again, and then he gets back to work.
Yep.
And what's funny is that later, like you see him, no matter what he's doing, he will stop, and then he will take his break and then come back when the alarm goes off, which causes a very funny scene later in the movie. So he's cleaning, and then he notices that, things are kind of happening. Like the animatronics, like their heads are moving a little bit when they shouldn't be. I think at one point they turn on by themselves and then turn off a couple seconds later. It's just stuff like that.
I think the like happy birthday song plays and he's like, and then goes to the button and flips a switch next to it to turn it off.
Right. And then it like the camera like zooms in like menacingly on Willy, the weasel. Meanwhile, as this is going on, there is a kind of like a sort of a subplot going on where some of the kids in the town, including the adopted daughter of the sheriff, they want to burn down.
Find out later.
Which we find out later. They want to burn down Willy's Wonderland. And the sheriff's adopted daughter, she tries at the beginning. She gets caught. She gets taken back to the sheriff to their house, and then gets basically handcuffed to the wall to prevent her from burning it down. Her friends come and kind of rescue her. The boys are all arguing about how they can get her out, while the only other girl like just goes, takes a bobby pin, picks the handcuffs in like 5 seconds, and then they're out the door.
Right.
It was a really funny
just
scene.
Walks over, pops a bubble with her bubble gum, and chews it like a cow chewing cud, and just she's like, yeah.
Pretty much. And then I think there were 5 of them, right? 2 girls, 3 guys.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Yes.
6. I see 6 on that poster. So yeah, 2 girls and 4 guys. So they rescue the sheriff's daughter. They grab the can of gasoline. They drive over to Willy's and go to try to burn it. And then the daughter realizes that there's someone in there. She can see him through the window. So she decides to go in and try to warn him about what's going to happen, try to get him out.
Oh, she knows he's in there.
She knows he's in there.
Because when the sheriff, the sheriff is taking the daughter out, the tow guy, this is when the tow guy's saying, "Hey, I got your strips."
Right.
And Nick Cage and the daughter, their eyes meet, and she immediately is like, "Oh shit, there goes the sacrifice," And Nick's character just looks at her, and you don't know what he's thinking. He could be thinking, "Hey, baby," or whatever. I don't know. You don't know because he didn't say nothing.
Yep. So when they're getting ready to burn down Willy's Wonderland, the daughter and Nick Cage's eyes meet through the window. She realizes, like, crap, there's someone in there to get him out. So she like bangs on the window. He comes over. They look at each other, and she's like, "Dude, we're getting ready to burn this place down. You need to get out. So come on, we'll get you out. Go to the front door. We have a key or whatever, or not a key, but like we'll find some way to get you out." And he just looks at her.
Find a way to get you out.
he just looks at her as walks away and goes back to cleaning. And like she can see him cleaning.
Yep.
So she decides.
And she starts banging on it. And she's like, dude, what are you doing? We gotta get you out of there.
And he just completely ignores her.
Yep.
So they do find a way in. They get in through like a vent in the roof. So all of them go in. They're all trying to find him to try to convince him to leave.
First it's just the girl.
First it's just the girl,
Liv.
yeah. Liv, that's her name.
Yeah, Liv's like, I'm gonna go get him. You guys keep doing this. Try to find us a way to get out. I'll go get him, and then we'll all get out together.
Yeah, maybe you should explain it, because I'm missing some very key details.
I just like correcting you. It's fun.
Fair enough.
But I can take over. Give yourself a chance to rest for a minute. So Liv ends up going through the air ducts, through the roof, to go find Nick Cage. And as she's crawling around trying to find a way to get to Nick Cage's character, one of the animatronics pops its head around the corner of the air ducts and starts to chase after her. And she's like, shit, shit, shit. And she starts kicking at it. And I want to say it's the alligator one.
I think so, yeah.
And so she ends up falling out of one of the air duct exits or entries or whatever. And it happens to be in Siren's Forest, which is the fairy animatronic, who apparently is very, very fast.
And funnily enough, is not actually pictured on the movie poster that I can see. I just thought that was interesting.
Is she not? I thought she was.
I don't see her. But yeah, she's very fast. She's very acrobatic. Like, she can do flips and stuff.
That's weird, because you got the knight, you've got the iguana, and the chameleon, you got the turtle, the ostrich. So it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. But I know at one point between Liv and the gang show up, and you see the janitor cleaning, is when the animatronics, there is one instance where the animatronics do come to life, and it's the ostrich. It does come to life, and it pops up behind Nick Cage's character, and he absolutely demolishes it, chops it up, puts it in a bag.
Straight up murders it. Is that the one where he pulls its spine out? Because there's one where he pulls its spine out. Through its beak.
Through its beak.
It is a brutal, brutal animatronic death. And it is glorious.
Glorious. Because it catches you off guard. Like, you think, oh god, this is going to be an issue. And he gets a little scratch on his cheek. Right here. And fuck Band-Aids. He takes a little piece of duct tape and just flops it on his face.
Because he's that badass.
And this is part of the comedy factor, is he's getting all this, like, oil blood, because it's like black oil goopy blood, all over himself, and he goes back into, like, the janitor's closet, and all of a sudden you see him whoosh pull down another new shirt. And so he's always changing his shirt.
And the best part about this particular scene, I think it's this one where he's in the bathroom, he gets attacked in the bathroom. He just finished cleaning the entire bathroom. All of that black oil blood all over the bathroom. And then, like, as he's done, he's just like sitting there, like breathing heavily, looking at what he's done. And he just gets this really annoyed look on his face. And you can tell he's thinking, fuck, I just cleaned this and now I have to clean it again.
Yeah, because he cleans up the ostrich death, and then he cleans the bathroom, and then he hears noises in the same bathroom he just cleaned. And he goes in there, and in what looks like blood, it's like, you want to play or something like that on the mirror. And that's where he gives the look like, are you fucking serious? And then he hears the noise in the stalls. And he, like, busts open each of the stalls, and you hear taunting, and then come to find out it's the gorilla one. And he defeats the gorilla one. That death is a curb stomp on a urinal.
A literal curb stomp on the urinal.
Hardcore. And that's when he goes to walk away and he's got that aggravated look, and you don't see him re-clean the bathroom. You just assume. Um, and then this is where enter Liv and the gang. And so we get back on track. So Liv faces off with Siren, the fairy animatronic, who is very, very fast. Um, and Nick Cage hears the scuffle and her yelling. And he's like, God damn these kids. I'm just trying to clean and get the fuck out of here. So he goes to investigate yet again. And he sees on the ground Liv, who looks like she's dead. But she gets up and he doesn't say anything to her. And she's like, Are you okay? We gotta get you out of here. And he just starts to walk away. And she's like, What the hell? He's like, and she's like, No, we gotta go. I don't know what your deal is. And he walks away. And she's like trying to follow after him, getting him to be convinced to leave. And it kind of cuts back to the gang that's outside. And they go up to the roof trying to find a way to get in, get out, or whatever. And they're fighting back and forth like, oh no, we heard Liv scream too. Um, what do we do? Do we do a rescue mission going after her? And then the roof ceiling collapses. They all fall into the ball pit.
Because of course they fall into the ball pit.
Of course they do. Of course the roof collapses. Of course they fall into the ball pit. And it's at about the same time when Nick Cage and the Liv girl run into that same room, and they see them. The gang sees those two, and it's at that point they're like, "What are you doing here? No, what are you doing? We're trying to save you. No, we're trying to get out. I thought you were trying to find a way out." And nobody at any point is like, "Oops."
If the hole in the ceiling is just not acknowledged at all.
At all. No one's like, oh man, the ceiling caved in. Maybe we can try to find a way to grapple up or something. No, it's not. Who cares? And this is where the teenagers start to separate.
As you do if you're a teenager in a horror movie.
Right. A majority of the group follows the Nick Cage character because his watch beeps that it's break time. Gotta get a sody. Gotta play some pinball.
Yep.
So they follow him into the kitchen, but the two left behind is the couple, the bubblegum chewer and the one of the teenagers. And he like, dang, baby girl, what is your deal? And she's like, oh, I don't know. This place is so cool. And I'm just sitting there like, what part of you thinks, oh, this place is so cool when you know the history and it kills people? Like, what? But because like one of the songs had come on, and that's where they were all like, no, we gotta get the fuck out. We got a GTFO right meow. And the music ends up stopping. And it's before the music. But anyways, the couple sees that it's like the happy playroom or whatever where they did the secret birthday parties. They go in there and disappear to go do teenage couple things.
Sex. They have sex.
They have sex. They do, yes. Because it does the whole like, ooh, I'm getting so turned on. We're in the place where it all happened, where they all sacrificed themselves and they all did this and they killed people, and I'm just getting so horny, baby. Then it goes back to the group trying to convince Nick Cage, hey, no, we gotta get out. Then they hear the music kick on and they're like, what the heck? And that's also when they realize the two have disappeared. So is it explained why the animatronics need to eat people? They apparently sacrifice themselves to Satan, to Satine,
So we
and
talked
that's
about
really kind of
this.
it.
Yeah, we talked about this in the beginning of the stream. Apparently, the original owners of Willy's Wonderland were like cultists, and they performed a ritual, gone wrong, gone right. We don't know. The point is, they did a ritual. They sacrificed people, and like their souls went into the animatronics or something and brought them to life. And now they want to go on a murder spree, basically.
They
And
want to
then
keep killing.
they want to keep killing, and the town sacrifices people every once in a while. People that like won't be missed, like people just like going through town, like strangers, homeless people, whatever. People just won't be missed, and that like satisfies the animatronics' bloodlust for a while, and keeps them
Right.
contained like within the building, so they don't go after the townspeople.
Yes. Because it's not so much like a eating people. It's they just want to kill people. Um,
Yep.
uh, Trying to think where I left off. Oh yeah, they hear the music. They all run in. Nick
Just
Cage still playing
just real
pinball.
quick, I just want to point out that the soundtrack is actually available on Amazon.
It's a banger.
It is a killer soundtrack. Like it is actually a good soundtrack. Like the Willy's Wonderland like theme song that plays, like a particular version of it, is a just genuinely a really good song. I'm sorry, continue. I just wanted to point that out.
You're fine. You're fine. Um, so they run into the main room. Uh, excuse me. Um, Music plays. They notice that a couple of the animatronics are kind of missing. They're like, isn't there supposed to be X amount of animatronics? And that's when they turn their head and they see the garbage bags. And they're like, oh my God, we're in here with a bad. He's killing them. But we still need to get out of here before one of them gets murdered. He gets a sword through the guts. And that makes them all want to think that they can also, oh, if this Nick Cage person could kill him, we could kill him. But they like do it in that, oh, excuse me, panic fashion where they're like panic fighting, like, oh, we're gonna hide here and then try to attack and do this, and they're basically getting their asses handed to them by the knight.
They are certainly
And
not badasses.
no, but then break time's over. Insert Nick Cage. Nick Cage cuts off Knight's head with Knight's own sword.
Very, very
So
quickly. In like
very yeah.
the whole scene where the knight dies is like a grand total of about 5 seconds long.
Yeah. Um I always thought it was funny that the knight's sword just gets dropped on the ground and then bagged up with his body parts
I know.
and
And
not
like
used to fight any of the others.
and we even pointed that out the first time we watched.
Right. Like why not just hold on to the knight's sword to fight the other animatronic?
And clearly it's capable of killing them because it sliced right through the knight's armor. But yeah,
But anyway, um that's when at that point that's when they all split up,
again.
uh again. But this time it's 100% everyone splitting up. Liv is the only one that stays with Nick Cage, trying to convince him, like, hey, we got to get everybody together and get my friends together and we got to get out of here. Like, people are going to keep dying. They're going to keep coming and killing. And Nick Cage just goes right back to cleaning. Right back to cleaning. And she's like, are you even listening to me? But then it cuts to the other kids or other teenagers. One goes hides in the arcade. It goes to the teens that are having the segs, and then another one hides in another room. It doesn't really say anything
Yeah.
like what room exactly he's in. but then individually they get picked off one by one.
Because that's what
And
happens when you split up in a horror movie.
of course, you never split up. They split up. Bad. First, it's kid with glasses that's in an undisclosed room. He gets taken on by the turtle and the fairy. He gets double teamed.
And not in the fun way.
Deathy death. Yeah, deathy death way. Um,
I think one of the other kids like runs into, I think it's the chameleon, who tries to convince him
that's
that
the one
like
that's in the arcade.
that's once in the arcade. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think you see at this point that's when the lovers get murdered.
And I believe that's by the alligator.
Yes, that's by the alligator. Um, at first they see him standing there, and they're in the process of getting down
Yeah,
to Busy Town.
they see him standing there, and the guy is like, "Is that thing always there?" And the girl's like, "Yeah, of course it was always there. It's just watching."
Reverse. The girl freaks out, and she's
Other
like,
way,
"Has he
you're right.
always been there?" And the dude is like, "Yeah, girl. Yeah, baby girl, keep going." And she's like, "No, I think he just came in." And so the dude is like, "Well, if he wants to watch, let's give him a show. Get to bouncing, you know?" So, and they do. They start putting on a show. But then he like disappears from that area, goes to this other area, and then comes out of nowhere and like chomp on dude's shoulder, and starts eating him. And she tries to escape by running to the door and starts banging on it and screaming. And that's when Liv and Nick Cage hear them. Uh, and she's like, "We gotta save my friends." And they get over to the door and she bangs on it and she calls for the girl and she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay?" And all of a sudden it cuts to the other side of the door. There's nobody standing there. It's all covered in blood. And then it flies inward and you just see Nick Cage having kicked the door down. And they're already both dead.
Yeah. Rule number one of horror movies is never split up. Rule number two of horror movies is never have sex, because if you have sex in a horror movie, you will die. Period.
Yep. I don't care how horny you getting. You better keep it in your pants.
Yep.
Cause you gonna die. That's when they keep walking, go down the hall. That's when they get to the arcade room where it had previously went to. The chameleon had walked in and she's like, "I'm not bad. I thought we were gonna do good, and I can show you all the ways of the other side of being dead, and please don't hurt me. I just want to get out of this body. Help me cross over." And the teenager, after having called the sheriff um, on his cell phone and convinced him that, "Hey, you need to come out here." How? By saying, "Hey, Liv brought us here." And because at first the sheriff is like, "Nah, I'm not coming out there. This is a prank call." And when he says that Liv brought us here, she's like, "Let's get our shit and go. We gotta go save my daughter." Um, so he like pops out from the toy dispenser kiosk thing where you turn in your tickets stuff for toys. Um, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can help you cross over." Her tongue, the chameleon's tongue, pops out, wraps around his neck. He gets neck snap, bam, dead. Um, you always have that one character that's like, "I'm not bad. Let's find a way to work together," and betrays you. You
Yep.
always have that one too, as
Always.
well. And this was that character. And insert. Oh, excuse me again. I guess I'm suddenly very tired. Insert Nick Cage and Liv. They come in, they see his neck get snapped, and they're like, "Oh no!" And the chameleon turns around. They do the whole standoff with each other. Uh, Nick Cage pulls out the pocket knife that Liv had on her that he took from her, and he like squares off with the chameleon. Liv is like, yeah. And guess what happens? Watch.
The watch goes
Beep,
off.
beep, 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 beep. It's break time. What happens? Nick Cage, knife in hand, gives it to Liv, pats her hand after handing her the pocket knife, and then walks away.
Just walks away. And it cuts to him in the break room with a can of soda in his hand, or a can of pop in his hand, because it very clearly says pop again. And he's playing pinball.
Yep.
While Liv is over there getting ready to fight for her life.
Liv is, yeah, they kind of like look at each other in confusion and then go back to squaring off and then start fighting each other. And Liv is actually putting up a good fight. She's going back and forth, kicking, getting a punch in here, getting a stabby in here, and break time ends up going to an end. You see him; he does the whole can crunch thing, goes to the trash can, and
I believe it cuts back to Liv, and she's starting to get her own ass kicked. Like, she's starting to lose the fight. And then all of a sudden, there's Nick Cage, and the fight just turns on its head, and he just, like, slaughters the chameleon.
Oh, yeah, in, like, seconds. Like, this whole break time, Liv has been facing off with this chameleon, and then they're giving each other the what for back and forth, and it's a fair fight at this point, but near the end, Liv gets knocked to the ground, and then she's got the chameleon's tongue wrapped around her neck. She's starting to get choked. And this is where Nick Cage comes in and, like, cuts the tongue and then basically bashes the head of the chameleon in. But you see him dragging the chameleon by her cut tongue behind them, and she's not dead. Because the eyes are like, and it's like, did you not kill why you were killing all the other ones, but you didn't kill this one? Are you gonna, like, interrogate it? I don't know. It doesn't ever explain why he didn't, like, finish whooping its ass and killing it. So at this point, all the friends are dead, and it shows Liv still trying to be like, hey, we need to leave, and then you hear the front door burst open, and it's the sheriff, and the sheriff actually has the gun pointed at Nick Cage. And she's like, drop the lizard! And he lets her go, and she makes him get down on his knees, and she basically cuffs him and tries to get Liv out of there. And she's like, no, he has to stay in here and he needs to die. And she's like, why can't you just die? Like, where's everybody else? And that's when Liv's like, yeah, no, they died. They're dead. All my friends are dead.
That's when the sheriff realizes that, like, half the animatronics are dead because, like, the bags are right there.
Right by the door.
Yep. Basically getting ready to take the trash out. And it's at this point that, like, I have to marvel at why the sheriff is so insistent that Willy gets to kill Nick Cage instead of the other way around, because clearly Cage has already killed, what, 4 of them at this point? Like 3 or 4 of them.
He's killed 1, 2, 3, 4, because he kills the alligator during the whole, like, after he busts in on the death of the sex scene. The alligator is still in there, and he basically pops the jaws apart. Kills him that way and pulls, like, his throat out or something.
Yeah, so he's killed 4 of them at this point. He's very clearly capable.
All that's left is the iguana, who is basically beaten, their ass is beat. Willy,
who is just standing there on the stage because this is the main room. This is like the main showroom.
Right. The turtle and Tinkerbell wannabe. So there's 4 left out of all of them. So he's killed half of them. There was like 8, and he's killed half.
So I just sit
Um,
here and wonder why the sheriff isn't just like, oh, you killed half of them already. I have a shotgun which can probably kill them if you hit them in the head. Because, it's a high powered shotgun. Why don't
right.
we team up and kill the rest of them and be free of this curse forever? But no, she has him kneeling on the ground, hands behind his head. She's in an execution pose, like the gun's pointed at his head, like the back of his head, about to pull the
Hardcore.
trigger, like hardcore, like almost execution pose. And she's just like, "Why can't you just die? What are you doing? Like, Willy, please don't take this. Like, he doesn't
Oh yeah,
represent the
and she
town."
grovels to Willy. Like, I'm so sorry. Don't let this jackass's actions show off how the town is. You know us better than that, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, huh?
And I think it's like in the middle of her groveling. That's when she dies, isn't it? Like one of the
No,
animatronics.
no, 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 not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No. She convinces the deputy that's from another town to take Liv back home. And she's like, I'm gonna stay here and make sure he stays inside because she had like blown the lock off, so the lock that was keeping him in is no longer there. She's like, I'm gonna make sure he stays inside, so this way Willy and the gang can finish him off. Um, which shouldn't be too hard because now he's handcuffed and on his knees. Eh, that's not how this works, honey. He a badass. You should know that he probably not gonna die. Um, so she goes to sit out in the teenager's vehicle, which was a pickup truck, with her shotgun, which she places on the cabin seat beside her, and uh, I it's at that point it goes back to Nick Cage on the inside, and he's literally still there on his knees, his hands handcuffed behind his back, and
Yeah.
the
To his credit, like
chameleon gets up.
he does everything that he's asked to do, everything that he's told to do. Like he's asked to clean, he
Mhm.
cleans despite all the danger. Like he doesn't try to escape when he realizes that the animatronics are there. Like he knows he can take them. He
Oh yeah,
took 4 of them at this point. Like
oh yeah,
he's just sitting there handcuffed. He could probably just like snap the handcuffs and get up and go back to cleaning. But he just sits
right,
there. He just lets things happen until he feels the need to protect himself.
right. But it shows that the Tinkerbell comes out of hiding. The iguana stands up, and so he gets up on his feet. And I think the Tinkerbell's like, "You ready for a threesome, big boy?"
Something
And
like
so
that,
he
yeah.
kicks, yeah, some sexual phrase, but not meaning it's sexual. It's more like, "You ready for an ass whooping with 2 chicks and a dude?" Um, and he kicks the jukebox that's behind him, and it starts playing music. And this part is what absolutely cracks me up because he starts doing the whole, oh yeah," but then it's like an aggressive head nod. He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah," like it's not even a subtle. Like he's just like, "Mm, mm, 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 mm." It's like, damn, dude, calm your head. Like, kind of just whoa. um, then it goes back to the deputy and Liv driving down the road. They're having a back and forth conversation about, oh, why you doing this? I didn't think this was a real thing. Why does he have to die? Blah blah blah. We need to turn around. Like they're just back and forth, back and forth. Um, but Liv ends up convincing the deputy, hey, we need to turn this showboat around, and we need to go help him, get him the fuck out of there. And the deputy's like, yeah, you right. And it's at that point a hand comes out from the window, like comes in the window from on the roof of the car and starts choking the deputy. and they like had come to a halt on the brakes, and it's the turtle animatronic. Pulls the deputy out of the car, basically kills him. Liv squares off with the turtle, starts beating his ass, I guess, with a, what was it, like a baseball bat or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. She like knocks him down and starts like beating on him, and he's he starts speaking in like Spanish. He speaks Spanish, and he's like going between English and Spanish. And it just cracked me up because she's whooping his ass with this baseball bat or whatever the fuck it was. And he's like, no mas, no mas. Oh, my balls. I'm like, oh my God, this is intense. I can't. He doesn't die, but she takes the keys for the car from him. The turtle, because apparently the turtle had the keys from the deputy that he just killed.
Somehow. Still not sure how that happened.
Yeah, it doesn't ever really show it. It eludes. Bang, oh, you mean these keys, Chica? And she's like, yeah, homie, those. But long story short, apparently Liv gets the keys back, but you don't ever see her like drive back. And then it goes back to Nick Cage squaring off with Tinkerbell wannabe and Pascal wannabe. If you don't know what Pascal is, it's from Tangled. Rapunzel's little chameleon friend. Beep beep beep. And when it cuts back to them, you hear the music and you see the legs of the Tinkerbell bitch just going. And you hear her struggle, and then it pans over and you see thighs, Nick Cage thighs, and it's, oh yeah, he got Battle's egg between thighs scene, and he full on just squishy squoosh head, uh, the head with his thighs, wink. But apparently it's not like he squishes him enough to where I guess he assumes she's dead, because later we find out she's not fully dead. But head gets smooshed between thighs. Then he kills the iguana. Burp, burp, burp. He kills the iguana bitch. I don't remember how he kills her in that part, because I know he breaks the handcuffs because they're still behind his back as he's like face sitting the Tinkerbell. And after he smooshes, he jumps up and he just breaks the cuffs from behind his back. Yeah, thick thighs did not save those lives. Saved my life, but not Tinkerbell wannabe. Nick Cage, call me. Then he goes after the iguana bitch somehow dies. I don't remember this one because it was like not super memorable. It was very quick, very like, well, what the fuck. I think he like pops her head off or some shit. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
Anyway, but they're dead, and all that's left at this point is, I want to say, Willy, because everybody else is dead and the turtle is gone. And it just shows Nick Cage going back to cleaning. He's like full on cleaning, and then the sheriff is like sitting out in the car, and she's like, well, what the fuck? What's going on? And the door opens, and you just see Nick Cage walk out with the trash bags, and he throws all of the bodies that's in the trash bags in the trash can. And he like turns around, stops, eye contact with the sheriff, and then goes back inside. And she's like, what the fuck? Grabs her shotgun and chases him back inside. And that's when she realizes that he's basically killed everyone. And yet again, she gets him on the ground right in front of Willy. His hands are up, and she's again pleading to Willy, please don't take what he's doing. I'm so sorry. This is not how we are. I'm so sorry. Please just kill this motherfucker. And or no, her back is to Will. I don't remember. All I know is she busts in, gets him on his knees with his hands up, and she's basically pleading to Willy. And all of a sudden, Willy appears behind her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is how you're gonna go down." Willy cuts her in half. Like,
Yep.
fuck you, bitch. Cuts the
Straight
sheriff.
up,
Boom.
straight up cuts her at the waist.
Core. Why don't you take over? I have to go pee pee. I actually will be right back. I can't hold it this time. I usually can. I can't. I cannot.
Yeah,
I will be
go
right
for it.
back. I'm going to turn my camera off for a hot second.
Right. Oh, well, apparently I'm on the screen twice. So now you get to
Oh
see
yeah,
me
be
twice.
screen twice. Oh, you're mirrored.
I
Talk to
am mirrored.
yourself. Okay, pee pee.
So I'm pretty sure it's at this point when um, Willy and Nick Cage start fighting, and it is actually like it's a tough fight for Cage because Willy is the big bad of the movie. It's a really cool effect. I've never actually done this before, but yeah. So like it's actually a tough fight. They go toe to toe. It's not just 5 to 10 seconds and it's done like with the other ones. They go toe to toe, like they're breaking stuff all around. Um, so how I'm trying to remember how the fight actually goes. I mean, obviously, Nick Cage's character wins. I think he does something with the shotgun. I really don't remember. But so Nick Cage's character wins, and like it's at this point, I believe he actually goes back to cleaning after he does that. After he
I'm
kills
back. I'm
Willy.
back. I'm back.
Right, welcome back.
I made it back. I made it back. I made it back. I'm sorry. I had to pee pee. I had to pee pee.
It's okay. Did I
Use
get
my
did I
hand
get that stuff right? Like of the details.
He starts getting his ass whooped by Willy. Believe it or not, he gets cut up on his side, on his back, on his chest, like his arm. Like he's getting his ass handed to him by Willy. Um, and Willy knocks his ass into the ball pit and doesn't see the ball pit move. I guess he assumes that Nick Cage is dead. And walks away. And when he does walk away, Nick Cage gets out of the ball pit and goes back into the kitchen and bags up all of his soda except for one that he drinks because it's break time. Um, Changes his shirt, all that stuff. Like he gets his shit together. Like
Okay, I
I
definitely
got my ass.
misremembered then.
Yeah, he's like, I get my ass beat. I'm not gonna take this. And so he gets the bag of soda, like his little burlap sack of soda. Let me scooch over because I'm off center. Um, and he has the soda and something else. That's where I can't remember. I want to say it's like a bat or something, or the shotgun. I don't know. It might be out of bullets. I'm not sure, but he basically, or no, it's a piece of wood. Um, and he basically starts wailing on Willy. Him and Willy. He broke the broom. Oh yeah, because he
That's
was
what it
fighting when
was.
they were fighting off with the broom, and the broom gets broken half, and that's when Willy's like whooping his ass. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Um, See, this is why we rely on chat.
Mhm.
And so he has the broken piece of the broom, and he's got his bag of sodies, and he's basically like 1-2ing, and I would hate to get wailed on with a bag of soda. That's like bag of rocks, no thank you. So he's going back and forth between the broom and the bag of soda, and he just like bow, bow, and it does like this weird flashback thing or whatever. As he's whooping on Willy, beating him to a bloody pulp. Mexican Live,
Mexican Live,
hey!
welcome in. How are you doing tonight? We're currently discussing the movie Willy's Wonderland. We're reaching the end of our synopsis, which has lasted about an hour at this point.
Right. And long story short, he basically beats his face in, and then I think he pulls his head off or whatever. Like it's a trophy.
Yeah, he like decapitates him, and I think with this one, like with Ostrich, like the spine comes out too, and he's like holding it like this, like a trophy.
Yeah.
Well,
Be
yeah,
telling
Jen,
the whole
yeah, that's kind of the point of a, well, not a synopsis, but you know. Spoiler warning, by the way.
Long story short, Willy dies. After this brutal long battle, and Nick Cage bags up all the parts and goes right back to cleaning. And then morning comes around.
Cut to morning. We see the mechanic and the owner. Crystal's Catastrophe, welcome in with the raid of 14. Welcome in, Raiders. If you don't already know who I am, my name is ShinyMikablu. I generally stream horror games, but tonight is a special stream. Tonight is Horror Talk with myself and my lovely co-host, who is on this side, that side, VineyardTrio.
I'm on the side somewhere.
And we are discussing the comedic horror movie, Willy's Wonderland, which I can best describe as Five Nights at Freddy's in movie form with badass Nick Cage. And It is so much better than the description sounds.
It really is. It's good. It's all around comedic gold.
It really is.
Horror. At no point are you ever scared. I mean, maybe if Nick Cage is gonna like win, but after the first like fight or two, you're kind of like, nah, he's gonna win. It's fine. I no longer have heart palpitations for Nick Cage living or dying. But yes. But yeah, it cuts to morning. The
mechanic and Tex.
Yeah.
And Tex being the owner of Willy's Wonderland.
Why don't you finish this off? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So it cuts to morning. The mechanic from the beginning with the garage, who first got Nick Cage into Willy's Wonderland, or introduced him to the owner who put him in Willy's Wonderland, and then the owner, Tex McAdoo or McAdee, something like that. Some weird funny name.
McAdoo.
So they're outside. Tex is driving Nick Cage's car around, which is like a really good muscle car. Like I think we said it was like a new Corvette or Camaro or something. So he's driving it around. He's having a lot of fun with it, and like he's saying like how that's going to be his car or whatever.
Yeah, another nice one to add to his collection.
Another nice one to add to the collection. Yep. So they're discussing that, and then all of a sudden, the doors open up, or they go inside, and they see
they open it.
They expect Nick Cage's character to be dead and just like in pieces on the ground. But instead, the entire place has been cleaned. It is spotless. It looks brand new. And
like even the condiments containers are on every table.
Yep. And refilled, probably. So then they see... No, they don't go in. They look in, see that it's clean, and then the door opens and Nick Cage comes out.
No. You're right. They look in and they're like, what the actual fuck? And they look down and they see that the lock is broken. And they're like, what the hell happened here?
You're right.
And that's when they walk in. And Nick Cage is like putting on his jacket, his clothes that he had on at the beginning. And then he puts on his sunglasses and he just walks up to Tex. And Tex is like, he's like, my hat's off to you. And just hands him the keys in his outstretched hand.
And then Nick Cage just like stares at him for a couple seconds, goes over to his car, gets in, doesn't drive away right away because Liv is right there, or like she's like slightly off in the distance, and she sees
Yeah,
him,
she's like walking up.
and she's walking up, she sees him, and she just gets in his car. And she's like, this guy's badass. I'm going with him. Go lurk, need to grab food. Go get your food. Enjoy your lurk. So she just gets in his car. Nick Cage, like, I don't even think he looks at her. He just, like, I think he grabs like his last soda. He badassingly pops the top, gets ready to drink it.
Oh, not
pauses.
yet. That's not yet.
That's not yet? Okay, what am I missing?
They're driving when that happens.
They are driving when that happens. Okay.
Yeah, she gets in. He looks over at her. She looks back at him. Neither of them exchange words. Like, it's a quiet understanding that she is now going with him on his journey.
She is now his protege.
Whatever his journey is. Yeah. He just puts, he pushes the start button.
Yeah, it's a push button car. It's not even a key, it's a push button.
I don't know if he even puts it in reverse. I think he does a donut and then speeds off. Yep.
That's he doesn't do a donut because I think it's like facing the other way already. He just burns out and goes because it was Tex that was doing the donuts.
Yeah, I know he was doing donuts. He was doing donuts, but I don't remember if it was facing out or in. But I know that you hear a squeal of tires, he fishtails and takes off. And it's at that point it goes back to the trash cans, and you see Tinkerbell like break out of the trash bag, and you're like, oh shit.
And then Tex and the mechanic are sitting in his car. They're talking about how they're like gonna celebrate because Willy's dead. Like they're gonna go out to a bar, they're gonna go out to a strip club or something. Like everything's on Tex. Like he's gonna pay for everything.
No, they're gonna celebrate because the curse is over. Everybody's dead. They didn't even have to put up a fight, and they're like, oh man, I might actually reopen this place.
Right.
It's immaculate. I don't have to clean it. It's, the curse is gone. Everybody's dead. Fuck it. Might as well. And I might rebrand it.
And then they're talking about like what they could do for names. And then Tex like does the mirror thing because he's about to pull away. And all of a sudden, there's Tinkerbell wannabe standing at the back, like outside the car, not in the car. She's standing outside the car. I don't remember what she says, but it's like a little one-liner quip. And then
yeah, she says a little quip line.
And then she flicks a lighter open, puts it down to the gas tank where there's a gas-soaked rag sitting in the tank, and then lights it, and then the whole car just and Tex is like, ah shit, and then the whole car explodes.
Yep.
And then
of course she gets blown to smithereens too.
Yep.
And
this is where she actually does die because it goes to a close-up of her head and like her eyes go dark. Like she's definitely dead at this point.
Massive explosion. And it does the reflection of the explosion in Nick Cage's sunglasses as he's driving away, which I thought was funny because he's nowhere near it at this point.
And he's not even
like it's off in the distance. Right. Yeah, not even facing it or anything.
And this is where they're driving. And he just pulls out a soda, pops the top badassingly, goes to drink it, pauses, doesn't even look over at her, and he just like hands her the soda. And then she takes
a massive gulp.
Yeah, and she's just like, yeah, this is the can. She's just like holding it like this, and is like, takes a really, really big sip. Just like all like daintily, like, which I thought was kind of out of character for her, but she's in awe about how this guy just completely ended the curse on their town.
Yep. And as they're driving away, the turtle is standing there in the middle of the Spanish turtle is standing there in the street, and they just plow
right into him.
Parts
everywhere.
Partsplosion. End of movie.
And the entire time, the entire movie, Nick Cage does not say a single goddamn word.
Not one. And Jen tried to fight. She tried to fight this off. She was like, he said, huh, 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 huh. I'm like, those aren't words. Those are grunts. Grunts don't count.
Yep. Does not say a single word. And that's basically the movie.
Not basically, Mika. That was the movie.
That was the movie. We just spent an hour
We.
explaining what the
I will
movie
say though.
showed in an hour and a half.
I will say though, yeah, the movie isn't an hour and a half long. The official synopsis, it says when a car gets beat down, a quiet loner agrees to clean abandoned family fun center in exchange for repairs. He soon finds himself waging war against the possessed animatronic mascots while trapped inside Willy's Wonderland. That is their synopsis, but it doesn't even go into any detail on how amazing this is. Like, even we didn't do it justice because we explain it, but it's one of those you gotta watch it because it is
It
like
is.
it's
And
comedy gold.
and it is
It's
currently available on Hulu. Well, as of
on Hulu.
Thursday, because that's
Yeah,
when we watched it.
it
Yep.
is on Hulu. It's no longer on Amazon Prime. It is on Hulu only. It's on. Well, you can purchase it for like $3.99 from YouTube, Google Play, Vudu, Apple TV, but it's free for Hulu.
Subscribers.
Ads will be there if you don't have ad free, so you can still watch it if you want commercial breaks, and you don't have it to where it's no ads. So, but it's
Yep.
free
Yep.
on Hulu. Boosh.
Highly recommend it. I do believe it is rated R, right?
It is not rated. It is
Is
an
not rated.
NR,
Okay.
not rated movie. Yep.
So just for like ratings, warnings or whatever, there's no nudity. There's minimal swearing. I think there's the F bomb like once or twice. There's a couple times a couple of people say shit. There's like other swears thrown in by everyone except Nick Cage.
Typical
But
swearing.
yeah, there's very little
It's not
blood.
over the top.
There's very little blood. The only blood is from Nick Cage's
The
character.
animatronics
I mean, the actual
mostly.
blood is from Nick Cage's character as he's
Oh,
getting cut up. There's blood splatters shown, like on the walls and stuff. But yeah, most of the gore is from the animatronics as they're destroyed. And it's all like oil, it's not blood.
right. And I think the actual goriest death you see is the two teenagers that are having sex because it shows blood splatter go up on her and she's like, nah! And then you see his shoulder getting eaten, and that's like the most blood and gore you see
And then
as
there's the
far
other
as like
one who gets
teenagers.
the knife through his stomach, or the sword through his stomach.
Oh,
But that's not really like super
that's not
gory.
really no. And when the sheriff gets cut, that's
I don't even think you see
that's
that.
the
You
other
just
one.
see like again a blood splatter, and then like her torso is on the
Oh no,
ground.
you see the parts and then like some organs, but it's not like you don't see excessive amount of blood. Like
Right.
it's pretty minimal. Yeah, as far as like getting cut in half goes.
And there's very, very few
Excuse me.
jump scares. I think there's only like one real jump scare. And even that's not even that scary.
Yeah, it's not like your typical jump scares. Like it's more of a like loud noise kind of jump scare. Um I know the Google reviews it's got a 4 out of 5. The IMDb has a 5.5 out of 10, which I think is underrated. And Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 60%. Metacritic has 44%. I think they're all wrong. But
Certain
that's
people
because
just don't like Nick Cage.
yeah. I thought it was fantastic. We were like we would give it 5 stars, 100% 5 stars because it was good. I was sitting there laughing the entire time. Like it was good for
At
me.
just
Like
how
it was
sheer
hilarious.
ridiculous it was.
Yes.
But ridiculous in the best way possible.
Yeah. It literally took all the possessed inanimate objects, cultist movies to shame. Like it's almost like a parody and all that shit. Like I don't know. It was fun. It, it
Yeah,
was fun.
it's just a fun movie. And I said at the beginning of the stream, but now I know we probably have some more viewers came with that raid. This is Willy's Wonderland. It is like as soon as we finished watching it, like I knew it was in my top 10 all-time movies. It is that good of a movie. but it is a Nick Cage humor movie. Like, if you don't, because Nick Cage has a very particular acting style, he has a very particular sense of humor, which comes out in every character he plays at some point, including this character who doesn't say anything. Again, he can mute the entire time, but portrays
Yep.
all of that like emotion and it's like badassery basically through his actions, through the way the character holds himself, the way he looks at people, the way he, as Jan put it, he badassingly does things. So
Yes.
if you don't like Nick Cage characters, if you don't like Nick Cage movies, you're probably gonna have a hard time watching it. But if you enjoy Nick Cage movies, I highly suggest giving Willy's Wonderland a shot because it is honestly a genuinely good movie. It's not
Mm.
like a triple A tier movie like the Conjuring franchise or Alien or some of the other ones I mentioned earlier, whatever they were, I don't remember at this point. But like, it is a solid high B tier movie.
Oh yeah. Not a high production value, not a high anything. Like it's there.
Yeah, not really a high
He's hit or
production
miss with
value.
me. This seems like the type of role he could be fun in.
Yeah,
Yes, 100%.
exactly. He said not super high production values, but I will say this: the fight scenes and like the animatronic deaths and stuff were very on point. They actually looked amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, you
Especially
could
for being
tell,
as campy as they were
yeah,
meant to be. Like it was campy but fun.
yeah.
And
You could tell
I
it's
say
mostly
fun loosely.
CGI.
Like it's yeah.
You could tell it's mostly
Oh yeah.
CGI with some like practical effects here and there, but it looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, especially for the CGI blood and like oil blood or whatever. Like you notice it, but sometimes you don't realize that that's CGI at first
Exactly.
because it was like it was that well done comparatively to other major production valued movies where they're like we need to CGI blood and you're like that's not done very well.
Blade. One of the worst CGI blood scenes I have ever seen. When Frost gets cut in
Yeah.
half and then like the blood comes out and just like holds him together. It looks so bad. It is widely
Yeah.
regarded as one of the worst CGI effects in movies. Period. That's how
Yeah,
bad it is.
it was not good. It was not good for sure. And what gets us on this whole tangent, for those of you that are new here, so we're trying to discuss comedic horror, comedy horror, or horror comedy, whatever you want to call it, because 2 weeks ago we went over the other subgenres of horror and basically what they mean and the movies that go with it. And we did a watch party on Thursday of one of our favorite comedy horror movies, which was Willy's Wonderland. And so today, as you know, obviously, there's not much you can really say as far as like the backstory that comes with comedy horror, horror comedy, however you want to talk about this subgenre of horror, except for it's literally what it states. It is horror that is hilarious. Um, will it have jump scares? Some do, some don't. Will it have gore? Some do, some don't. It's the same with all other horror movies, but funny.
Yep.
And that's literally what Willy's Wonderland was. And I would like to know, outside of Willy's Wonderland, Mika, what is another good comedy horror movie that you could recommend to others or whatever, to anyone, or that you would list up there with Willy's Wonderland?
Honestly, I don't know if these would count as comedic horror, but they are definitely parody. I enjoy the Scary Movie series, especially Scary Movie 2. And for anyone who doesn't know what the Scary Movie series is, it's a series, I believe there are five, possibly six at this point, where each one takes parts of popular movies, usually horror movies, and then just like combines them in just like a very trope filled, very hilarious comedic sometimes cringy way. Scary Movie 2 specifically, which is my favorite one, combines, I believe, House on Haunted Hill. It has a fight scene from Charlie's Angels. It has the one scene. It has some scenes from Poltergeist, like the clown doll coming out from under the bed to grab a character, which is then turned around because it turns out that the character is gay and has a clown fetish. So it turns right around on the clown, and the clown is terrified at the end. But just stuff like that, and it combines them in a very, very, very funny way, in my opinion. And then each of the movies does a different thing. Like there's like a base movie it pulls story from. Like the Scary Movie 1, I believe, kind of pulls from what's it called? I Know What You Did Last Summer. Because the main character is like kill a person, turns out the person wasn't dead, comes back later for revenge, but in very comedic, hilarious ways. Scary Movie
Yes,
2.
that's good. Yes.
And yes, we're talking about the Scary Movie series. Scary Movie 2, the main one is like House on Haunted Hill, where there's like a scientist and a psychologist or whatever recruiting like basically college kids from the guy's class. They come in, they try to like investigate what's going on with the house, with like some other stuff thrown in. 3 is basically War of the Worlds, I believe, with some. No, that was 4. I'm sorry. 3 is kind of a spoof on The Ring, and 8 Mile, and Signs, all mashed together in very funky, weird ways. But it works. 3 is Ring. Did I not say The Ring? I don't.
I think you did. I'm not positive. I haven't seen any of them in any of the proper order, even though they don't really have an order.
There is no order. I mean, there's
Yeah.
there's a recurring character throughout all of them, like 1 or 2 or 3 recurring characters, but like they, I think they like might reference earlier movies like in an offhand way, just like making a comment. I was like, oh well, this happened. You know, I'm trying to move on, and then all this other shit happens. But there's no like real link between them.
I know I've seen a couple of them, but I don't remember which ones. I don't remember when I saw them, but I know I have seen some bits and pieces, like in memes or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But that's about it. I want to rewatch them. This way it's like fresh in my mind and have a good laugh.
They're definitely perfect for having a good laugh and just having a good time.
They're all mix up of horror movies of the time period.
Yeah, that's a perfect way
I
to put it.
definitely do remember.
And then I remember I saw the 5th one fairly recently, like within the last year, and it had Snoop Dogg in it, which I thought was kind of cool.
Interesting.
And he actually played like a decent character too. It wasn't just like, I mean, it was kind of a joke character because all the characters are joke characters in these. But like it was actually pretty. His character was pretty good. I was legitimately surprised. I mean, not to say he's a bad actor or anything, because he is a phenomenal actor when he wants to be.
Right. I know you did mention Rubber. I think in our first show.
Rubber, yes. So Rubber is, I've seen bits and pieces of this. I've not seen the thing all the way through. Rubber is a monster movie about a haunted tire. I swear I am not making this up. It is a movie about a haunted tire that goes around and kills people by like basically spinning out on someone's body and just like tearing up the body by doing that.
All right, cool.
It is certainly a thing. It is like F tier horror garbage.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Outside of movies, do you have any other comedy horror that you know of that you would enjoy? Like, have you read any comedy horror, or which is really hard because I don't even think I know of any comedy horror that's something I've read that's not been like, I don't know, like a manga or something.
Right.
Um, what about games?
Absurdist humor. That's a really good way to put it, Max Kid.
Absurdist humor, yes.
It's like super
Let
campy,
maybe
super
let's
over the
try game.
top.
Yeah, what about games? Is there any games that made you just that was supposed to be horror that you even thought were funny? Like it made you just laugh through the whole thing?
Um, I know that there have been at least a couple of the indie horror games that I've tried that have turned out to be comedy horror, but I honestly can't think of any off the top of my head. I
Okay.
can't think of any like big AAA horror games I might have played that have fallen into comedic horror. It's mostly just
Okay.
movies.
Right. Because that's kind of how I was feeling. Because I was just trying to think of all the stuff that I've even played. Um, most of them are meant to actually scare you, like they are 100% horror. Um, I don't know if I've actually come across a comedic horror game that I've played. Uh, yeah, I can't think of one. And for movies, um, I liked Willy's Wonderland,
See, Jen in chat mentioning Shaun of the Dead, which is
Shaun of the
another big
Dead.
one. That's another big one.
Oh yeah, that's another big one. That's the other one. And I think, honestly, that's I guess maybe even This Is the End might be another good one that I thought was had me laughing. That
Tucker and
was
Dale versus the
comedy
Forces
horror.
of Evil, I believe, is another one that we mentioned in the show
Yep,
before.
yep. Tucker and Dale versus the evil or whatever. Yes, yeah. That's another good one that had me laughing. Um, but out of them all, yeah, the one that had me laughing the most because it was just so ridiculous. Excuse me, is definitely Willy's Wonderland. Jensen, my favorite, Shaun of the Dead, Max Kid Live. What about you? What is anybody in chat? Uh, give me examples of your favorite comedy horror where making you laugh almost the entire time you're watching it, and it's supposed to be scary, like scary.
Zombieland is another one that I just thought of.
Zombieland. Oh yeah. Jen
Dude,
says Evil Dead for sure. Yep, the
Max
Evil
Kid
Dead
says
series.
Gremlins 2 came to mind as another top one.
Wow, Gremlins 2. Okay. Cabin in the
I
Woods
could
is
see how
good.
Gremlins 2 could be considered comedic horror. I don't think it was intended as comedic. I think it was just intended as just like over the top campy, and then ended up falling into comedic. Cabin in the Woods and Child's Play, I would not classify as comedic horror. Cabin in the Woods is very much satire. Child's
Jen,
Play,
Chuck is scary.
yeah, Cabin in the Woods is very much satire because it kind of like explains where all of the classic horror movie tropes come from and why they're so prevalent. Child's Play series, I would definitely not classify that as comedic. I would think that is like standard slasher slash monster, like
Wait,
Jason.
he did say this series. Are you talking like the TV series that they have recently done, or just the Child's Play movie saga? I guess
Give comedic horror to
because
Cabin in the Woods.
we've got
There
two.
there are some comedic elements to it, but I think it falls more under true satire than comedy. It was meant to parody and satirize horror movies as a whole, not specifically make people just laugh. And I think that's what comedic horror really is. It's a movie that is just so over the top that it tries to make people laugh. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows it's not like a serious horror movie, and it plays off of that. And sometimes does it well, sometimes it does it poorly. Willy's Wonderland is an excellent one that does it very well. And there are other ones like Uh, the Ghosts one. What's it called again? I always forget the name. The other one with Nick Cage.
Oh, Prisoners of the
Prisoners of the
Ghostlands.
Ghostland. Yes, that was one that again it didn't take itself too seriously. It was very over the top. It was very funny, but it also was
That one was more like a comedy uh thriller,
yeah. It was
more than a horror.
yeah. It was
It was like a
definitely over.
drama movie.
Yeah, it was definitely over the top campy. But I don't think comedic horror was the intended effect for it. It just kind of like fell into that because of how ridiculous it was.
Mm.
Idle Hands is a good movie. I remember seeing Idle Hands when I was very, very young. I think that was the first movie I ever saw with Jessica Alba in it. I think that was the first movie I
Oh.
ever saw with Seth Green in it too, actually. I'm not sure I would strictly classify that as comedic horror, but Max Kid, I can definitely see where you're coming from with Idle Hands because it is a ridiculous, funny movie. Let's see.
And it's just Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Tucker and Dale
I
versus
just
Evil. Okay.
mhm.
I think I was thinking of the cartoon Star versus the Forces of Evil and just like mixing their names up a little bit.
Yeah. Um,
Very, very early in their careers. Talking about Jessica Alba and Seth Green, yes, very early. Like I
very
think for
early.
both of them, it was like one of the first like full length production movies that they did. Like, they were both either in their late teens or early 20s. Yeah, Idle Hands was actually a really good one, and I would also recommend that one to people.
I guess um it because I'm trying to look up other like ideas for comedy horror, like what a Google search would come up with. And some of them it's just like but Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is comedy
Okay,
horror and I saw it and I thought it was hilarious. It was good too. Um as well as Abraham Lincoln the
Lincoln
Vampire
Vampire Killer.
Hunter.
Yeah, I have not
That
seen
one,
either of those, but I have heard very good things about both.
the movie was fairly decent. The book was a million times better,
Naturally,
but the movie made it seem more comedy horror esque than it being a horror, like history horror thing, not movie, but book. Because the book was very like mm, it tried to actually make history and being a vampire hunter like actually makes sense. Like this is why Abraham Lincoln did these things because he's really secretly hunting vampires. And in the end it's like no, this really didn't happen. Vampires aren't real, you know, and I was like, but you made so much sense.
I want to comment on what Max Kid Live is saying. Like, if you like satire, Tucker and Dale was awesome, almost in the same
It was.
vein as Cabin in the Woods. Tucker and Dale is definitely satire, but it very uniquely satire because it takes the classic, like these teens get lost in the woods, they find these basically redneck, like deranged rednecks or whatever that try to kill them. It takes that classic like horror movie plot trope and flips it on its head. Where like there's nothing evil about them, like they're not deranged. Tucker and Dale are basically they just want to live their lives in the woods. And then these teens come in and through a series of very hilarious, very quote unquote unfortunate events, the teens start dying through no fault of Tucker and Dale. It's like it's the teens' fault. Like they're getting into those situations on their own, and it just happens to be killing them to the point where the survivors or the rest of the group seems like it's Tucker and Dale who are trying to kill them all.
Yeah.
I've
It's
not seen the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces here and there. From what I saw, very hilarious movie. It's
yeah,
definitely
it's trying to
parody. It's
play on the
definitely
whole like
satire. It's definitely comedic. It's all those in one.
it's playing on the whole, oh, you see a cabin in the woods and oh, it's got hillbillies. Oh, the hillbillies are killers. They're gonna kill us all. And Tucker and Dale are like, who? Um, and they like end up getting killed of their own actions. Like Tucker Dale had nothing to do with it, and that's what makes it so funny. Um, but another one that's like that reminds me of Willy's Wonderland, where it's like it's not high production, it's not like it's low everything, but absolutely fucking hilarious. Because again, you guys have to remember with horror, it has the subgenres. It's not it's got also the gore, the um paranormal and all this other stuff, and that's where it like all of that kind of gets mixed into the fact that it's horror. So when we say comedy horror, it doesn't mean just scary. It could mean it's got a lot of blood and that, or it has paranormal aspects or monster aspects or whatever. Um so that being said, Velocipaster. 110%. Like Willy's Wonderland and Velocipaster, I could sit there and watch those and rewatch them because they're fucking hilarious. And they got blood and gore and just murdering and all of that. And it's just nonstop laughs through the whole thing. 100. I gotta get you to watch it because it's fucking ridiculous.
We will definitely watch it one day soon.
Oof, it's good. It's fantastic. Its name literally is what the movie is about. Velocipaster. You get a pastor who manages to be able to turn into a velociraptor.
And not one of the actual velociraptors that lived like millions and millions of years ago, which were the size of chickens. We mean one like from Jurassic Park. The big one.
Yeah, it's a Jurassic Park velociraptor. Yeah.
Which, fun fact, the ones in Jurassic Park are actually a different species known as Utah raptors. But they were actually that size and hunted like that. They just got the name wrong because I think the writer of Jurassic Park decided that Velociraptor sounded better than Utah Raptor. Like, I think that was the entire reason they used Velociraptor instead. But just a little side note there.
You brought logic into this.
I know I did.
Stop it. No. And on that note, we're going to have to not ever go to Utah because that's where they really live. They all have cowboy hats and they live in Utah and they all have ranches. Yes.
Max Kid
For the
Live
absurdist category.
Good.
Have you seen Haosu? Am I butchering that? Haosu? It's a poorly produced Japanese horror. Oh, God. That's all you got to say for that. Because, ooh, Mika, what is the one that you had us watch? I'm going to finish reading this comment. And I think it was just so bad that they ended up messing with the cut just to make it extremely silly to release it as comedy horror. Mika had us watch a movie that was a Japanese comedy horror, and it was obscene. It was absolute absurdist category.
Tokyo Gore Police.
Torquio.
Tokyo.
I'm mixing up Tokyo and Gore. It's the Tokyo Police. Yeah. Anyway.
Pronounced House. Okay. So Tokyo Gore Police is body horror taken to an extreme, super absurd level. Just to give you some reference, there is so the whole movie is about these people called engineers, where they will like take some kind of like mutagen. I don't know if it's explained where it came from. They take this mutagen and they transform their bodies in very grotesque ways. There's a woman who has like all of her limbs cut off at the elbows and knees, replace them with swords, and she wears like I think it's like a dog mask or a pig mask or something, and she's basically someone's pet. There is a woman whose lower body, her legs, like everything from the waist down has been transformed into a pair of giant jaws with her vagina where the tongue is meant to be. And she kills people by basically eating them and devouring them for lack of a better term. There's a guy who who turns his penis into a cannon. I wish I was making this up.
Oh,
It was
it was
so over the top absurd.
yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of a good word for it outside of just ridiculous, because and I'm failing to come up with the word for it, but it was a thing, and I watched it, and I'm pretty sure that that would actually give me more nightmares seeing a cannon dick than actual some of the horror movies we've seen. Because
Yeah,
wow,
it was ridiculous and it was disturbing in one of the weirdest ways possible. I liked it. I liked it as a movie. Like I liked it for what it was. But then again, I like body horror movies. I'm really into body horror movies.
I'm just talking like the Peter part would have been that was nightmare fuel, because I like the PPs to not uh, see myself up now.
And on that note, I actually think that's going to be it for the show because we only have a couple minutes left. I think we got through everything we really wanted to talk about. We went through our
Yes,
discussion about Willy's Wonderland. We gave our thoughts and impressions on it. We talked about comedic horror for a little bit. Gave some examples, some very ridiculous examples at times. But yeah, I think that is going to be our show for the evening. So thank you,
if
everyone.
anybody can comment at any point or let us know that you have thought or played or heard of a comedy horror video game, let us know,
Yes,
because
please.
I'm down to play the fuck out of it. So
Yes.
please.
And if you would be so kind, go ahead and place your thoughts about like the comedic horror games, movies, books, genre as a whole, or whatever, or any other thoughts you have about tonight's show in that Discord right there. There's the link. I believe there is a channel for horror.
I believe so as well.
There is. It is called Horror Talk. So, like any thoughts about any of the horror talk shows, go ahead and put it in that channel. And like if you have any recommendations for just in general for like horror games or horror movies, like if there's
Yes.
a particular horror movie that you feel that you really want us to discuss, and like maybe we'll host another watch party for it at some point. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
anything,
for sure.
yeah, any suggestions, any thoughts you have about the show, any suggestions for what you would like to see from on future horror talk shows, go ahead and drop them in that channel there.
Yep. Suggestions. We are open to them.
Yep, very open to suggestions.
100%.
Right. So, thank everyone for being here. Thank you for everyone who is interacting with chat. Thank you, Crystal Catastrophe, for the raid. Once again, I am ShinyMikablu. You can find me on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays here on Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, playing indie horror games or AAA horror games or just whatever kind of horror games I want to play. You can also find me on Twitter at ShinyMikablu. I don't really use my Twitter account too much. I just kind of like and retweet stuff from other people. I do want to start using Twitter more often. So yeah, expect to see more stuff from there. And then I am also ShinyMikablu on Discord. And there's a link to my server right there. Jan, how about you? Who are you?
I am Vineyard Trio. Uh You can kind of find me all over the place in multiple people's chat channels, Twitch, YouTube, all over the place. My name is the same on all platforms, but I'm currently not streaming at the moment. But when I was streaming, I do also play all kind of games. I'm a very much a variety streamer. I do games, I do art, and I even do cooking streams. So hopefully you'll be able to see me start streaming again soon after September. Fingers crossed. toes crossed, eyes crossed. Please, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But yeah, hopefully we will get back into streaming soon, and you'll be able to find me on Vineyard Trio.
Yep. And there's the link to all of VineyardTrio's socials right there in chat, including her Discord server.
I think it's this way. It's this. Am I supposed to point this way?
That way, right there, right there, right there in
This.
chat.
This.
Yeah, you need
This.
to go the
Oh,
way.
yes.
There you are.
Okay, the other way. I had to wait for the screen to catch up. That's right. Come on. Oh yeah, I had it for a second. Catch up, catch up, catch up. Fuck it, you got it. Whatever.
Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Good times, great talk, Mexican life. Thank you. That does mean so much. It's like we do this for you guys. Like Vineyard Trio and I, like we have discussions. Like we actually do have discussions like this on our own. Like we watch a lot of horror movies. Like we discuss games, and that like want to bring our discussions to you guys and get your thoughts on everything. And that's what we're doing.
Sorry. Jen told me I had success on both. I pointed in both the directions. You can find me here. And here.
Yes, this is how our actual off-stream conversations go. Quite often, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, again, thank you everyone for being here. The next episode of Horror Talk will be in exactly 2 weeks, which I believe is... No, it will not be in 2 weeks because that is July 4th. Will not be airing a show that day. So
No,
expect to see
people
us...
to enjoy their 4th of July with family and friends.
Yep, absolutely. So expect to see us back in 4 weeks at our normal time, which would be on the 18th of June. Same time. Don't know.
July.
Yes, sorry. July 18th. Shut up. I'm a streamer. I can't words.
In that other J month, that happens to be summer.
In that other J month that happens to be summer. Yes, July 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Not entirely sure what we'll be talking about yet, but pay attention to the Discord, and there will be details coming there in the near future. Yep. Any closing thoughts?
If anybody has any suggestions what they would like us to discuss in the next one, again, we're open to it. I know we've discussed previously that we would potentially even play a game on stream. So we take those suggestions as well. So if you would like to see us try to play a game on stream, even if it's a demo, and react to it live on the Twitch, please suggest.
Also keep in mind that if you do have any suggestions for games, please try to suggest shorter games because we do only have 2 hours per show, and we are not going to spend multiple streams doing the same thing again and again and again and again. So try to keep
especially since we do it every 2 weeks.
Especially because every 2 weeks. So try to keep it to like demo length games or just like shorter. But yeah, any suggestions you have, go ahead and pop them in the Discord server, and we will consider every suggestion. And while we figure out what we want to do for the show. So yeah.
I know we have some thoughts on what we want to do next, but we also take suggestions for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So again, thank you all for being here. That is our show for tonight, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
I love you, sexual beings.